to God in heaven where he sat in full glee. A few sons of harmony sent a petition that their inspirer and patron would be. When this answer arrived from the jolly old Grecian, voice still and flute no longer be mute. I'll lend you my name and inspire you to boot. And besides, I'll instruct you like me to entwine the myrtle of Venus with Bacchus's vine. These of Anacreon then join hand in hand, preserve unanimity, friendship, and love. 'Tis yours to support whatso happily planned. You've the sanction of gods and the fiat of Jove. While thus we agree, our toast let it be. May our club flourish, happy, united, and free. And long may the sons of Anacreon entwine the myrtle of Venus with Bacchus's vine. Thank you so very much. That song was part of the soundtrack of American life between about 1770 and 1820. It was of British origin, but it was heard on both sides of the Atlantic and was so popular and well known in its day that the melody was borrowed from numerous other songs. Francis Scott Key wrote what became our national anthem to fit the cadence and melody of that song. It was a very important piece of music during a significant time in American history. We're going to relate it to the Alden family in just a few minutes. My name is Rick Spencer. My colleague is Dawn Intermuchle. We're here today to talk about music that would have been familiar to members of the Alden family over the generations. We're going to be spanning the period from about 1640 or so right up until 1925. So we've got quite a journey to go on. In doing our journey, we will demonstrate to you how the sound of popular music in America has shifted and evolved over the years.
Music is and has always been part of our culture, civilization, and history. More than that, music is part of our lives. We hear some form of music every day, often many times a day. We don't have to work to experience it. It's universally accessible to us all. We push a button and an unlimited amount of music is available. But that was not the case for our early ancestors. Passive entertainment was not part of the lives of the Aldens who came to Plymouth and who settled here. But music was certainly part of their lives.
For a period of time, I was administrator of an historic house museum in New London, Connecticut. It was built in 1678, and the house was home to 9 generations of a prominent local family. I used to walk through the house when no one else was there and wonder what the inhabitants of 1850, what songs they would have known. What children's songs did the kids of 1890s know? And at what point was jazz first heard on the radio when the last generation of family members lived there in the 1930s?
We can't be sure exactly which songs each generation of Aldens knew. They didn't leave us playlists. But we do know which songs were most popular and common during each period in American history, and we can speculate with some degree of certainty about which songs they might have known.
The earliest immigrants on these shores were Puritans. They were worshipful people who believed that they were dangling by a loose thread over the fiery pit. They worked the rocky New England land hard and forged an awkward relationship with the people who were already here. They spent most of their time in thoughtful ways of God and would not appreciate colorful clothing, secular songs, or vulgar dance music. Oh no, he would not.
We love that the first book printed in North America was a music book. It was called the Bay Psalm Book and was printed in Cambridge in 1640. The Puritans brought many such books with them on their passage. We are confident John and Priscilla Alden knew our next song. By the time they arrived in Plymouth, they had known and sung it. The music goes back to the 1500s. The lyric we use is adapted from the 100th Psalm. Whether this is actually the text that the earliest settlers used is debatable.
All people that on earth do dwell, sing to the Lord with cheerful voice, Him serve with mirth, His praise foretell. Come ye before Him and rejoice. Know that the Lord is God indeed. Without our aid He did us make. We are His flock, He doth us feed. And for His sheep He doth us take. The absence of harmony in that song was intentional. The Puritans felt the same way about harmony as they did about colorful clothing. Most of the music that the early Aldens knew was sacred music. At some point, however, secular music began to be heard.
We blame beer.
Yes, we do blame beer. One of the great challenges of the day in Europe was the lack of potable drinking water. Fresh water stored in barrels became unpalatable and unsafe. Beer was safer to drink than barreled water, and the first ships that came to these shores from Europe brought a lot of it with them. Beer was considered so essential that the Pilgrims constructed a brew house the very first winter they were at Plymouth.
The hardy descendants of the earliest Aldens and the others who survived the early years in Massachusetts eventually built taverns. Where there are taverns, there is secular music. At some point, secular songs began to creep through the windows of the old house in the first spot as well. Secular songs most likely to have been heard at this time that you might be familiar with include the ballad Greensleeves, which surfaced in London in 1580. The Pilgrims may have known the song even before they departed their homeland.
A seafaring song called The Golden Vanity appears as early as 1635. In it, a cabin boy saves his ship from pirates only to perish at the hand of his unappreciative captain. Variants of the song are still popular in the maritime music world, folk music world today. The song Barbara Allen was mentioned in Samuel Pepys' diary in 1666. The Pilgrim John Alden died more than 20 years later, and so he could have known this song, which is still sung today, and which tells the legend of how the rose came to have thorns. In Scarlet Town, where I was born, there was a fair-maid dwelling, made every youth cry well-a-day. Her name was Barbara Allen. All in the merry month of May, when green buds they were swelling, young William drove on his deathbed lay, for love of Barbara Allen. He sent his servant to the door, to the place where she was dwelling. Haste, ye come to my master's call, if your name be Barbara Allen. So slowly, slowly got she up, and slowly she drew nigh him. And all she said when there she came, young man, I think you're dying. He turned his face unto the wall, and death was drawing nigh him. Goodbye, goodbye to dear friends all, be kind to Barbara Allen. When he was dead and laid in grave, she heard the death bell knelling,
and every note they seem to say, oh, poor old Barbara Allen. Oh, mother, mother, make my bed, make it soft and narrow. Sweet William died for love of me, and I shall die of sorrow. They buried her in the old churchyard. Sweet William's grave was 9 moons, and from his grave grew a red rose, and from hers grew a briar. They grew and grew up the old church side till they could grow no higher, and there they twined in a true love knot, the red rose and the briar. The early generations of the Alden family who lived in this house would have known all these songs as well as our next, which covered all the bases by being both secular and sacred.
A broadside ballad about the life and death of Captain Kidd may have been available at his execution in 1701. The most commonly used melody for this song is also the melody to the hymn, What Wondrous Love Is This, first published in 1811. Both songs were very well known and popular. Take heart, friends, after this next song, things are going to get a little more jovial and up-tempo. There'll be a little less death and a little more drink. My name was Captain Kidd, as I sailed, My name was Captain Kidd, as I sailed. My name was Captain Kidd, God's laws I did forbid. Most wickedly I did, as I sailed. Most wickedly I did, as I sailed. My father taught me well, as I sailed. My father taught me well, as I sailed. My father taught me well to shun the gates of hell, and yet I did rebel, as I sailed. And yet I did rebel, as I sailed. I spied 2 ships from Spain, as I sailed. I spied 3 ships from Spain, as I sailed. I spied 3 ships from Spain, and fired on them amain, till all their crews were slain, as I sailed. Till all their crews were slain, as I sailed. I had 80 bars of gold, as I sailed. I had 80 bars of gold, as I sailed. I had 80 bars of gold, and riches uncontrolled, and dollars in my hold, as I sailed. And dollars in my hold, as I sailed. Then I murdered William Moore, as I sailed. I murdered William Moore, as I sailed. I murdered William Moore, and left him in his door, not many leagues from shore, as I sailed. Not many leagues from shore, as I sailed. To execution dock I must go. To execution dock I must go. To execution dock, while thousands round me flock, to see me on the block I must go. To see me on the block I must go. My name was Captain Kidd, as I sailed. My name was Captain Kidd, as I sailed. My name was Captain Kidd, God's laws I did forbid. To execution dock I must go. To execution dock I must go. The root of the song that we today know as Three Jolly Coachmen, appeared in a play by Shakespeare contemporary John Fletcher around 1630. In its day, it was a very racy bawdy song, a drinking song. John and Priscilla Alden probably did not know this one, but their son John, who built the eastern half of this house, probably did know the song. Their grandson, Colonel John Alden, who built the western half of the house, spent time in colonial taverns, and he certainly was familiar with this song. Three jolly coachmen sat in an English tavern. Three jolly coachmen sat in an English tavern, and they decided, and they decided, and they decided to have another flagon. Landlord filled the flowing bowl until it doth run over. Landlord filled the flowing bowl until it doth run over. For tonight we'll marry thee, for tonight we'll marry thee, for tonight we'll marry thee. Tomorrow we'll be sober. Here's to the man drinks water pure and goes to bed quite sober. Here's to the man drinks water pure and goes to bed quite sober. He falls as the leaves do fall, falls as the leaves do fall, falls as the leaves do fall. He'll die before October. He doesn't have much time. Here's to the man who drinks dark ale and goes to bed quite mellow. Here's to the man who drinks dark ale and goes to bed quite mellow. He lives as he ought to live, he lives as he ought to live, he lives as he ought to live. He'll die a jolly good fellow. So landlord, fill the flowing bowl until it doth run over. Landlord, fill the flowing bowl until it doth run over. For tonight we'll marry thee, for tonight we'll marry thee, for tonight we'll marry me. Tomorrow we'll be sober.
The fourth generation of Aldens included Briggs Alden, who was in both the American Revolution and the War of 1812. The eldest of his four sons was Judah, a soldier at Valley Forge. One of Briggs' younger sons, Amherst, was a fifer and violinist during the Revolution and bequeathed his violin to his nephew, Judah's son, John, of course John, who was a merchant. We refer to him as Storekeeper John. This is a generation that would have known the song To Anacreon in Heaven that we opened the program with. Military music was all the rage at that time. Fife and drum music and songs about military life, like the next one, were very popular.
How happy the soldier who lives on his pay and spends half a crown on sixpence a day. He fears neither justice's warrants nor bonds, but he pays all his debts with a roll of the drum, with a rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow. And he pays all his debts with a roll of the drum. He cares not to mornity how the world goes. His king finds his quarters, his money and clothes. He laughs at all sorrow whenever it comes on. He pays all his debts with a roll of the drum, with a rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow. And he pays all his debts with a roll of the drum. The drum is his glory, his joy and delight. It leads him to pleasure as well as to fight. No girl when she hears it, though ever so glum, but packs up her tattoos and follows the drum with the rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow. And he pays all his debts with a roll of the drum. How happy a soldier who lives on his pay and spends half a crown on sixpence a day. He fears neither justice's warrants nor bonds, but he pays all his debts with a roll of the drum, with a rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow, rowdy-dow. And he pays all his
his dance with a roll of the drum, with a rowdy down, rowdy down, rowdy down. And he pays all his debts with a roll of the drum.
The next song bridges the period between the War of 1812 and around 1830 or so. In January 1815, Andrew Jackson and a bunch of tough fellows, many of them from Kentucky, defeated the British at the Battle of New Orleans. Andrew Jackson became a hero, a legend, and of course, president. Our next lyric was written by populist poet Samuel Woodworth. Woodworth was a quirky, eccentric fellow who lived in Boston for a period of time. He wrote this lyric shortly after the Battle of the Scribes. It soon was set to traditional melody and was used in both of Andrew Jackson's presidential campaigns. Ye gentlemen and ladies fair who grace this famous city, just listen if you've time to spare while I rehearse a ditty. And for the opportunity, conceive yourself quite lucky. It is not often here you see a hunter from Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, a hunter from Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. You've heard, I suppose, how New Orleans is famed for wealth and beauty. There's girls of every hue, it seems, from snowy white to sooty. So packing on, he made his brags that he in flight was lucky. He had girls uncocked in bags in spite of old Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. But Jackson, he was wide awake and was not scared of two rifles, for well he knew what aim we'd take with our Kentucky rifles. He led us down the cypress swamp, the ground was low and mucky. There stood John Bull in all his pomp, and here was old Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. A bank was raised to hide our breast, not that we thought of dying, but then we always liked to rest unless the game is flying. Behind it stood our little forest, men wished it to be greater, for every man was half a horse and half an alligator. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. They found at last it was vain to fight where lead was all the booty, and so they wisely took to flight and left us all our beauty. And now if danger ever annoys, remember what our trade is. Just send for the Kentucky boys and we'll protect the ladies. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. 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 It's one of our favorites. Storekeeper John Alden lived from 1784 to 1871 and would have been familiar with the most popular songs of the first half of the 19th century. He certainly knew our next four songs. Over the winter of 1842 and 3, a musician named Daniel Decatur Emmett formed a quartet called the Original Virginia Minstrels. In February 1843, the group premiered in New York, where their ensemble played a song that Dan had written when he was just 14 years old. They became an instant sensation. Many consider this to be the birth of the minstrel show era in the United States. This was the point when African-American musical traditions began to inspire popular culture. That influence has continued to the present day. Storekeeper John and every generation of Aldens for the rest of the century knew this song. His face a frying pan, over his head with a wagon wheel, right over to the bacon his heel. Get out the way for old man Tucker, he's too late to have his
supper, supper is over, dinner is cooking. Old Dan Tucker just standing there looking.
Well, old Dan Tucker, he come to town, riding on a billy goat, leading a hound. The hound dog barked and the billy goat jumped. Told old Dan Tucker on top of a stump, get out of the way, for old Dan Tucker, he's too late to have his supper. Supper is over, dinner is cooking. Old Dan Tucker just standing there looking. Well, old Dan Tucker, he come to town, swinging the ladies round and round. First to the right and then to the left, then to the gal that he liked best.
Get out the way for old Dan Tucker, he's too late to have his supper. Supper is over, dinner is cooking. Old Dan Tucker just standing there looking. Well, I come to town the other night to hear the noise and to see the fight, to watch the meetings running around, crying, old Dan Tucker has come to town. Get out the way for old Dan Tucker, he's too late to have his supper. Supper is over, dinner is cooking. Old Dan Tucker just standing there looking. Get out the way for old Dan Tucker, he's too late to have his supper. Supper is over, dinner is cooking. Old Dan Tucker just standing there looking.
Dan Emmett, who wrote that song, was a fife and drum master and a circus performer, who's also credited with having written Holly Wolly Doodle, Jimmy Crack Horn, and Dixie. These were the days of Stephen Foster, whose name you probably know. This was the era of Connecticut-born Henry Clay work, who we're very proud of. He wrote My Grandfather's Clock, Marching Through Georgia, and a melody that was beloved and borrowed for more than 100 years. You don't know Henry Clay Work's name any more than you do Dan Emmett's name, but he was one of the greats. We'll hear one of his songs shortly. The minstrel age and the Civil War era were some of the richest musical times in American history. The most well-known songwriter of the mid-19th century was, of course, Stephen Foster. Stephen Collins Foster, born near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His most famous compositions included Camptown Races, My Old Kentucky Home, and Beautiful Dreamer. This was a Foster song that was recorded in 1860. Now the Glendiver is a mighty fast boat with a mighty fast captain too. He sits all day on the hurricane deck and he keeps his eye on the crew. Well, I can't stay here for the work too hard. I'm down to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tow mama back to the Glendiver coming down. Oh, for Louisiana, I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tow mama back to the Glendiver coming down. Glendiver has got a mighty funny crew, and they sing that boatman song. They burn the pitch and the pine knot too, and they drive the boat along. Smoke goes up and the engine roars, and the wheel turns round and round. Fare thee well, I'll take a trip when the Glendiver come down. Oh, for Louisiana, I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tow them on my back till the Glendiver comes down. I'll work all night in the storm and wind, I'll work all day in the rain, till I find myself on a levee dock in New Orleans again. They make me mow in the hayfield here, and they knock my head with a flail. I'll go to work in sugar and cane, and I'll rock Cottontail. Oh, for Louisiana, I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tow mama back to the Glendiver come down. My lady love is pretty as a pink, I'll meet her on the way. Take her back to the sunny old south, and there I'll have her stay. Don't you fret, my honey dear, and do not fret, Miss Crown. I will take you back for the middle of the week when the Glendiver come down. Oh, Louisiana, I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tow them back to the Glendiver come down. Oh, Louisiana, I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take
it references a line from a Daniel Decatur Emmett song, so he's paying homage to his fellow songwriter. To represent the Civil War, we're going to do a medley of two very different songs. The first is a touching composition by a New Hampshire songwriter named Walter Kittredge, describing life in a calm moment after a battle. The second is a blustery and proud anthem by Henry Clay Work, represent a sampling of verses from each song.
We are chanting tonight on the old ground. Give us a song to cheer our weary hearts, a song of hope and friends we love so dear. We are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for the war to cease. Many are the hearts looking for the light to see the dawn of peace. Tempting tonight, tempting tonight, tempting on the old ground. We are tired of war on the old campground. Many are dead and gone. All the brave and the true have left their homes. Others been wounded long. We've been fighting today on the old campground. Many are lying here. Some are dead and some are dying. Many are in tears. Many are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for a war to cease. Many are the hearts looking for the right to see the dawn of peace. Dying tonight, dying tonight, dying on the old campground. Tempting tonight, tempting tonight, tempting on the old campground. Bring the good old bugle boys and sing another song. Sing it with a spirit that will help the world along. Sing it as we used to sing it, 50,000 strong, while we were marching through Georgia. Hurrah, hurrah, we bring the Jubilee. Hurrah, hurrah, the flag that makes you free. So we sang the chorus from Atlanta to the sea, while we were marching through Georgia. How the people shouted when they heard the joyful sound. How the turkeys gobbled at our commissary found. How the sweet potatoes even started from the ground, while we were marching through Georgia. Hurrah, hurrah, we bring the Jubilee. Hurrah, hurrah, the flag that makes you free. So we sang the chorus from Atlanta to the sea, while we were marching through Georgia. Sherman's dashing Yankee boys would never reach the coast, so the saucy rebels said, and 'twas handsome boast. Had they not forgot to last to reckon with the host, while we were marching through Georgia. Hurrah, hurrah, we bring the Jubilee. Hurrah, hurrah, the flag that makes you free. So we sang the chorus from Atlanta to the sea, while we were marching through Georgia. Hurrah, hurrah, we bring the Jubilee. Hurrah, hurrah, the flag that makes you free. So we sang the chorus from Atlanta to the sea, while we were marching through Georgia. There was a seafaring John Alden who was called Captain Jack and who lived from 1813 to 1887. He was probably familiar with these minstrel and Civil War songs. Musically, this is also the time when we were beginning to hear the significant musical influence of immigrants from Ireland and Europe. The flavors of our songs became much more diverse during this period, representing the cultural melting pot that our nation had become.
The last Alden to live in this house was John Windsor Alden. He was born here in 1847 and lived to 1925. At the age of 18, he enlisted as a drummer in the 26th Massachusetts Infantry. Some of the most remarkable social, cultural, and technological advances in our history occurred during the second half of his life, including significant changes in fashion, transportation, and women's rights. Our next song from our program of Songs of the Women's Suffrage Movement tells of a very forward-thinking young lady who wears bloomers, rides a bicycle, and works for the right to vote. We're not sure that John W. would approve.
Hey, Eliza Jane. Sorry? I tried to start that in the wrong key. We would have all suffered. This'll feel better. Hey, Eliza Jane, she had a wheel, its rim was painted red.
Eliza had another wheel that turned inside her head.
She put the two together, she gave them both a whirl.
And now she rides the Parkway sides, 20th century girl. No more do skirts unfold me, though much my papa grieves. But baggy trousers hold me in their big pneumatic sleeves. For where you see the bloomers bloom, I sits my wheel astride. I make a sight, would stop a fight, as in the park I ride.
Oh, have you seen Eliza Jane a-cycling in the park?
Have you seen Eliza Jane? The people all remark.
She shouts,
Hi, hi.
she rides by, the little doggies bark.
For we all have a pain when Eliza Jane goes cycling in the park.
This is emancipation year, the woman movement's on. Eliza plans to be a man, it's sad to think upon. She thinks she needs the ballot now, her freedom to enhance. She wants to pose in papa's clothes, it is for this she pants.
Once I had a nice young man, alas, was long ago, as gay and fair, as debonair as any man you know. He saw me ride in bloomers, he screamed and quickly fled. And as he ran, my nice young man in trembling accents said,
Have you seen Eliza Jane a-cycling in the park? Have you seen Eliza Jane? The people all remark. She shouts,
Hi, hi.
as she rides by, the little doggies bark.
For we all have a pain when Eliza Jane goes cycling in the park.
Eliza's brothers saw her ride, and each one took to drink. They made it flow to drown their woes, so that they need not think. But there are woes that will not drown, not even in a well.
Or still.
And what did you say?
Or a still.
And in the worst of their gate, there's Eliza hears them yell. Eliza dear, we sadly fear you have not started right. You will not see more liberty by being such a fright. Asylums yawn for you, my dear, and in the books we read
How bloomers that too early bloom soon fade and go to seed.
No more upon her red-rimmed wheel the fair Eliza flirts.
No more I ride the parkway sides and bifurcated skirts.
A park policeman ran her in one day in early spring, because he thought Eliza taught the little birds to sing. Oh, have you seen Eliza Jane a-cycling in the park? Have you seen Eliza Jane? The people all remark. She shouts,
Hi, hi.
she rides by, the little doggies bark.
For we all have a pain when Eliza Jane goes cycling in the park. We all have a pain when Eliza Jane goes cycling in the park. Thank you. I forgot to mention that song was written in 1895.
In Boston, Massachusetts. A fellow named Henry Winthrop wrote that song. We mentioned that John Windsor Alden was the last member of the family to live in this house. After the Civil War, he became a sailor and made voyages around the world. He and his wife Sylvia Burgess Alden had 10 children. Some of them might be, no, I guess that would be 2. For many years, he was the gate tender of the Alden Railroad crossing not far from here. John W. was also a songwriter and had a number of his pieces published. Desiree sent us sheet music and asked if we could present one of his songs. This is a charming little love song called "The Old Love Is Good Enough for Me." It was copyrighted in 1911. We've been unable to find any evidence that the song was ever recorded, so this may be the very first time this song has been heard in over 100 years.
Oh my God!
She is just as sweet as any young maid, though she's wrinkled and her hair's turning gray. I love her just the same as I did years ago, when I wedded my love on her wedding day. There is only one love in a true lifetime. If you're true to that love, you will also agree. Remember this story and song when it's sung, that the olden love is good enough for me. With the same loving smile, she meets me at the door, and kisses just as sweet as days long ago. And her eyes do tell the tale of love, tender and true, when she's greeting me, her old fond sweetheart home. There is only one love in a true lifetime. If you're true to that love, you will also agree. Remember this story and song when it's sung, that the olden love is good enough for me. We've gone plodding down life's busy stream, have seen cloudy days, sunshine and its rain. She's dear, more dear to me every day of her life. She's my old sweetheart, I love her just the same. There is only one love in a true lifetime. If you're true to that love, you will also agree. Remember this story and song when it's sung, that the olden love is good enough for me. Composed by John W. Alden, 1911.
John W. Alden also lived long enough to observe the events of the First World War. He would have known and perhaps sung our next 2 songs. The first one was published in 1912 and was already somewhat popular before the war. Early in the conflict, a Daily Mail correspondent reported hearing an Irish brigade sing the song as they marched through Bologna. Other units picked it up as a marching song. Then in 1914, a well-known pop singer, John McCormick, recorded it, and the song became an international hit. By the middle of 1915, this was arguably the most popular and well-known song in the world.
Still fairly well known.
And you're going to recognize the chorus when we get to it. Please sing with us.
We're tired of listening to us.
Absolutely.
Up to mighty London came an Irish lad one day, as the streets were paved with gold, so everyone was gay, singing songs of Piccadilly, Strand and Leicester Square, till Paddy got excited and he shouted to them there.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. Paddy wrote a letter to his Irish Molly-O, saying,
should you not receive this, write and let me know. If I make mistakes in spelling, Molly dear, says he, remember it's the pen that's bad. Don't lay the blame on me.
it's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there.
Molly wrote a neat reply to Irish Paddy-O, saying,
Mike Maloney wants to marry me, and so leave the Strand and Piccadilly, or you'll be to blame. For love has fairly drove me silly, hoping you're the same. It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there.
thank you. So we're pretty sure that the songwriter John W. Alden would have known that song. And the next one, America came late to World War I. President Wilson made every effort to keep us neutral, but in early 1917 it became inevitable that we would join the fight. Once we were on board, it took no time at all for Tin Pan Alley to produce songs encouraging our patriotic fervor. Songwriter and entertainer George M. Cohan, already famous for Give My Regards to Broadway, The Yankee Doodle Boy, and You're a Grand Old Flag, wrote what is probably the most well-known song of World War I. Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you and me, every son of liberty. Hurry right away, no delay, go today. Make your daddy glad to have had such a lad. Tell your sweetheart not to pine, to be proud her boys in line. Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming, the drums rum-tumming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there. Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Johnny, show the Hun you're a son of a gun. Hoist the flag and let her fly. Yankee Doodle do or die. Pack your little kit, show your grit, do your bit. Yankees to the ranks, from the towns and the tanks. Make your mother proud of you, and the old red, white and blue. Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the Yanks
folks are coming, the drums rum-tumming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there.
Thank you very much. All right, this is the time that you've all been waiting for. We have only one more song to present for you today. We'd like to thank you for your attention and hope you have enjoyed this excursion through American popular songs the Alden ancestors might have known through the ages. If you have any questions about the songs or about anything that we've said today, we'd be very happy to talk to you. We have recordings available for purchase. If you would like to be kept informed about where you can find or avoid our presentations in the future, you can sign up for our monthly email newsletter.
Wait. Are we responsible for the rain? Is this our fault?
Yes. Yes. Or follow us on our website or Facebook pages. Again, one more song. Oh yes, that's good.
Okay, we are interrupting our regular programming to say happy birthday to Emily. So everybody join us to sing happy birthday. You know this one, don't leave it up to us. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Emily. Happy birthday to you. Emily was my granny's name. It's my favorite name in the world. So happy birthday. The end of the First World War ushered in a time of relative prosperity and connectivity. As a result of the newfound popularity of the radio, most Americans were listening to the same music, were aware of the same current social trends, were buying the same nationally advertised products, and were learning the same racy new slang. People were dancing the Charleston with its indelicate overtones. For the first time in our history, more people lived in cities than on farms. Spirits were lighthearted, and much of the popular music of the day reflected an enthusiastic optimism. John W. probably disapproved of his grandchildren listening to songs like our next and final one, which was one of the greatest hits of 1925. We certainly had come a long way from Barbara Allen. Thanks again for being with us today.
Desiree, thank you for inviting us. 5'2" eyes, what those 5 feet can do? Has anybody seen my dad?
Turned up nose, turned down hose, flap.
Yes, sir, one of those. Has anybody seen my dad? Now, if you run into 5'2", all covered with fur, diamond rings and all those things, that your life it isn't her, but
Coochie love, coochie boo, coochie, coochie, coochie coo. Has anybody seen my gal? Eyes of blue, oh, what those stripes can do.
has anybody seen my gal?
Turned up nose, turned down hose, flapper.
Yes, sir, one of those.
Has anybody seen my gal?